Hey folks, welcome back. So, Heavy's getting close to being finished, and one of the items that was left to do was to restore the gauge cluster. And in doing that, the owner had a request that a lot of people have as well, is, hey, I want to keep the factory gauge cluster. I don't want an ammeter. I want it to be a voltmeter instead. So in some cases, you can actually find these off the shelf for like Camaros and Mustangs, I think C10 trucks and a few others. But for a lot of other cars, like this Road Runner, you can't find a replacement voltmeter to go in the ammeter slot. So we're going to convert this one in this video, or at least attempt to. So let's go for it. So today we're going to attempt to take this guy out and replace it and repurpose it as a voltmeter, and we're going to use this gauge as a donor. So sit tight and let's see what we can do. All right, so first steps on this thing is we got to pull this apart. This is already halfway apart right now because I've been working on it, but essentially you pull the whole cluster out of the dash, and then you pull, it's not in the frame right now. I guess I'll move it around, but it'll have this frame on this case that you pull off. Then you're left with this guy, and then there's a series of screws, screws like this, that you got to pull out. Once you pull that out, you can pull the face off. Once you pull the face off, be real careful because all of the wires are, or all the gauges are exposed. Then you'll flip it over. In this case, this is the alternator, or this is the ammeter, excuse me, and this guy is buried underneath the fuel gauge, so you have to pull the fuel gauge out first, then the alternator. But if you flip it over in the back, and I apologize, I'm just going to pull this out for now since I already have it apart, you'll see that there is a series of bolts. There's going to be two nuts. There's going to be a couple nuts there that you pull. Once you pull those nuts out and you're very careful, pull this gauge out again. Be real careful not to touch the rest of this stuff. But now we have our alternator, I keep saying alternator, losing my mind. Now we have the ammeter out. So we're going to have this ammeter, and the next step is to take this guy apart and see if we can take it apart to the point where we can take this face and put it onto this gauge, get rid of all this other stuff, and shove it back in. So wish me luck. Okay, first step is, can we even take this thing apart? Now, rumor has it that this Sunpro gauge will actually work, but it's kind of a mission impossible right now. We're just going to go ahead and take the take this one nut off the mounting bracket. Again, I'm not even sure if this is going to work. I've done a couple other ones, but they've used different gauges. So I just figured you'd be along with me for the journey to figure out, whoa, I don't hit the damn camera, how do we pull this thing apart? So first steps is I'm going to loosen this guy up a little bit. But I can already see that even though he's moving, I got to pull this top off. So I'm going to screw that guy back in there. All right. Now I got to get this bezel off. And what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take a Dremel, and I'm just going to cut the outside edge of this just to pull this bezel off, because it's probably pressed in there. It's probably got some metal in there, knowing this thing. So let's get after that. All right, very cool. That comes off. See how well I did. Aha. Sweet. So that guy's out. Now we got to take these nuts out here. These just hold the whole face assembly in there. And I'm going to need to blow this off here in a couple, but save all this, and Boom. All right. So now the next step is pull this face off here, and then we're going to drill these out here, pull this whole assembly out, and then put this one in. As you can see, wow, they line up pretty well, which is awesome. Got to be real careful to get this real clean, and you know, not to screw any of this stuff up, because this is, you know, obviously it's kind of a sensitive instrument. So okay, got a few more tools here. So you guys notice I use this Dremel all the time. It's one of my favorites. I'll leave a link in the description to this and any other little tools I think would be helpful for other folks. One of the big sets is this little burr set. What this is just, again, super useful. You can come up with a bunch of different, they have a bunch of different sizes. They're great for either enlarging small holes, doing delicate work like this. Little less risky than just taking a drill and then jamming through there. Because what I'm going to end up doing is that I'm going to, and I don't know if this shows up very well, but there's two pins. One's here and one's there. And I'm going to try to just take the Dremel and I'm going to just try to mill off each of those pins so I don't damage any part of this face, and then hopefully this whole thing will drop off. So again, we'll jump into this and wish me luck. Okay, that one's cool. Try this one. Oh, there you go. Sorry about that. There we go. I don't know if you saw that, but now this is the stock Ammeter assembly. All right, I'm going to clean up my mess here, and we're going to get to the next step, which is going to be figuring out how to put this guy in there. So, okay, next step is let's take the old face, or the current face off the voltmeter off. Just a couple screws here. Be really careful here. I don't want to bend that needle, and you can see these screws are pretty damn small, especially for somebody like me that's got some fat fingers. All right. Yeah, great, black screws on a black table. Well, you know. Okay, so here is the movement. I set that down. All right, so now, sorry, that we got to put this, what we want to do is I want to use these original holes, these mounting holes from this Sunpro gauge. So even though we won't be using this face, we can use this face as a template. And so the key is putting this in a way where I can drill holes without, you know, where they're going to be secure, if you will. And so I'm going to use this as a template. So I'm going to set this on the gauge, or on the face, like so. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to make sure I'm centered in that, in the original face. And he's going to need to be just a hair higher, or else I won't be able to drill holes in it. And I'll use silver Sharpie. We'll mark holes. Boom, boom. Oh, and that's going to work out great. So now I'm going to drill these holes out to accept these little baby screws. And of course, there's one there, and the other one hopefully didn't go too far, because I'm going to need him. Oh, here he is. And we'll put it on and see if it works. All right. Although he's hitting, so I'm gonna have to modify. So You can see I went to put this in because I was really happy with where it was because I could put bolts in there, but he doesn't sit deep enough. So I'm going to have to take just a hair off the bottom of this guy. And we're talking hardly any, but right about this much. I'm going to take him right off the center. Okay, so there is the gauge face that after we've done some whittling on it. And that guy looks like he'll fit just awesome. See that? Hopefully it's in focus-ish. So now the step is, a fun one, is putting this all together. Got this in my little vise. This is always fun, especially when you have big mitts. What we're going to do is we are going to try and attempt to put these little screws in there. So actually, best thing to do on this one is to set this on here like so. Really need more coffee today. Probably gonna need to, it's hard to do with the camera because I can't really see what I'm doing, guys. Let's see if we can pick it up. Just gotta be super careful about that needle. Put all this work in there and I don't want to just screw it all up because, you know, I'm being dumb. Okay, let's get that almost snuggy. Ooh, don't breathe, don't think, don't do nothing. Dun, 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 dun. Right, so we're using the original screw mounts for that Sunpro gauge. And aha! Big breath. All right, so got it back together. Now we need to test it to see if this thing actually works, or did I just destroy it and now you got something that doesn't work, which I'd just cry on the inside. So give me a moment. I'm going to set up my test. All right, it's time to test this thing. So I've got my DC power supply. We'll set it to 12 volts and hero or zero time. Boom, cool. So as I adjust the voltage, we'll adjust it down to, so there's 10 volts. There's 12. When it's probably charged, and it's probably closer to 14 or so. So now we have a voltmeter. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit real gently with some microfiber swabs, and then we will throw it into the gauge cluster. All right, so we got everything back together. All the gauges are back in. Again, this ammeter is no longer an ammeter, it's a voltmeter. So if I apply the power, we get a nice 12 volts. You can see how we can change it with the voltage, which is really cool. And cool trick little thing. So anyways, if you like this content, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more cool stuff. I'll be coming up with more things as we go. But anyways, hope you enjoyed this. And hey, if you have any comments, throw them down there. I'd love to hear from you. Any other content you'd like to see as well, definitely taking requests. And hope everyone has a great day.